I'm convinced that R2D2 is the source of all evil in Star Wars, and you can't change my mind.
I never liked Shrek growing up, and I never really started to like Shrek until like 4 years ago. So there's a confession.
Do Wookiees get haircuts? If so, show me a barber in Star Wars.
Welcome to the Council of Nerds.
The Council of Nerds.
Welcome, everybody, to the Council of Nerds. I'm Logan. I am joined, as always, with Brian and Dan.
Hello.
Hello.
We are super glad to be back here again with another random topic to talk about. This week, we kind of decided just to talk about nerdy movies or TV shows, or really just nerdy things, but mainly movies and TV shows that we watched as children that really made us want to be, not even just children, I would say as children and on and on and on, that made us want to be more nerdy, I guess.
Yep.
And
Fed the fire.
yeah, so we're just gonna go down memory lane and talk about some of these nerdy things. Some of them people may not think are necessarily quote unquote nerdy, but for me, at least mine, for me, they had aspects that were nerdy, so they made me want to be more nerdy.
Agreed.
But yeah, who wants to go first?
I got this. Most underrated Disney movie, period. Treasure Planet. Love Treasure Planet. Logan is already disagreeing with me.
I hate that movie.
Wasn't that
It's so
DreamWorks?
good. No, it's Disney.
No, it was Disney.
Okay.
It's
Man, I
so
feel like an
good.
idiot.
Morph is like the best alien on the planet. I could just change it whenever
Maybe
the
I just haven't
frick
seen
wants.
it in a long time, so
You should take a spin.
I'll take a gander.
It's definitely got some cheese. There's no doubt. There's some cheese. It
Yeah,
was
sure.
during kind of the dark ages of Disney, so it's.
Those are good ages. Those are
there's
kind
some
of
interesting
underrated.
ones in there. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Yeah.
You get some odd ones like Black Cauldron and things like that. But Treasure Planet, honestly, is a movie that I look back on when I was a kid that I watched. That was just like, oh, I like sci-fi. Oh, that's cool. Like I like aliens involved with human stories. Like that's really cool. Instead of just like, oh, because it's the story's modeled after Treasure Island, so it's pirates and trying to find this lost massive treasure and everything. But instead of having like a fat, obnoxious, evil pirate, it's this weird, horned, snaggly-toothed lizard alien guy. I'm like, cool. That's dope. I like it. So that's just. I think that's one of the movies that when I watched it really. I think the fire was there, but it definitely built it up for me. Of like, oh, I'm a nerd. I really like this because I think there was a lot of kids my age that first saw that and were like, nope, pass. I'm gonna not watch that.
Yeah. Me.
But I really enjoy it, and I just watched it. I've watched like last week. I watched it like 3 times because my daughter wouldn't go to sleep. So
I do want to say, kind of with what you said about that was something that kind of got your fire going. Sounds weird to say, but that's the term we're going with, I guess. Anyway, I think that every single person on this planet, like super nerdy or not even close to nerdy, has a little bit of a tiny flame at least. Like starting out. I think every person, I don't care who you are. I bet even super athletes, the jocks or whatever, the guys that seem like they don't have anything nerdy, they probably have some nerdy thing that could be turned into a flame, if that makes sense.
I agree. Especially nowadays, I think if this was like the 70s or 80s, I think that would be different. But I
Yeah,
think
very
now with the mainstreamedness of nerdy, with the Marvel and Star Wars and other big blockbusters that would be considered nerdy or fantasy or sci-fi or whatever, I think that's definitely changed in the last
True.
20, 30 years.
I agree.
Dan?
'Cause, yeah. So I got a list of 7 movies put together. Not going to talk about them all. One of the movies I was going to mention that I love from my childhood. Black Cauldron. I
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
loved it. I don't know why. It's been years since I've seen it,
It's a
but
pretty dark movie. But
Dude, it's
good.
effed
Yeah.
up, man. Like,
yeah. Doesn't
Really?
I can't remember, but one of the dudes like sacrifices himself in
Yeah.
the Black Cauldron, right?
Gurky.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, man.
He's a little like
He's the
teddy bear
best.
looking thing with a mustache, kind of looks like a dog kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
He's awesome.
Like a
Yeah.
Shih Tzu.
And he's
He's
like
the
really
best.
annoying, and he's the
Mm.
best character ever. Yeah. And then he gets really
Yeah.
sad because they like say something rude to him, and he gets super sad, and then he just like is gonna walk off this like plank into the cauldron. You're just like, what the freak? Like this guy's straight up committing suicide in a kids movie. Like what's going
Goodbye,
on?
cruel world.
Yeah.
Life lessons.
Good grief, man! It like opens with like a pig running from a dragon in a field.
Yeah.
Like you're like,
Hey, but the pig survives.
it's true. It's a big part of that.
Yes.
What else, Dan?
Another one that I don't know many people who have seen it. It's Titan AE. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it.
That was on my list, man.
I
So
absolutely
good.
love it. It's got a Matt Damon in it, right?
Yeah.
I love the movie. I always thought it was so cool. I thought, what's Cal? No, Cal is Matt Damon. Who's the rogue dude? The guy who owns the ship.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
I
here,
can't remember.
let's
I
see.
thought he was so cool growing up though, because he's like, you know, kind of like a Han Solo, but if Han Solo was actually, you know, like a bad guy out for himself. And I just loved watching the movie. I watched it all the time. The Dredge absolutely terrified me.
Corso. His name's Corso.
Corso, I loved Corso. Yeah, he'd give me like bad like Han Solo bounty hunter vibes. And then the Dredge always scared me.
Man, that cast is crazy.
especially
It's
when-
got Drew Barrymore,
Mhm.
Nathan Lane, John Leguizamo. Like, it's got a really like.
It's just such a random movie that like no one talks about anymore,
I-
or like ever did talk about.
I had it on my list. I like the animation of it. Like, it's got like
Mhm.
some like. It's like the same. It's got a similar animation style to Treasure Planet, where you have hard backgrounds that don't move. Like you have stagnant backgrounds, and then it's animated within those set pieces.
Yeah.
And so you end up with some really interesting stuff. But then they also went like with 3D stuff with like those like electric alien guys that like
Dredge,
the
yeah.
Dredge. That like vaporize people when they shoot them with their guns. Like,
Absolutely.
it's-
And then they suck you up into the ship. I think another reason why I like Titan AE so much is it came out, or at least I watched at the same time as Independence Day. I feel like there were a lot of like humans versus alien movies coming out all at the same time. And this one was scarier to me than Independence Day because like the Dredge, they would like suck you up into their like they're like pure beings of energy pretty much.
Right.
And they'd suck you up into your ship and you'd get stuck there and then like you'd get sucked through. And it was always so creepy because like you're saying, they're like the only things in the show that's like computer animated. Everything else is like, you know, normally drawn by hand. And I think that just kind of adds to their creepiness that they look so different.
Yeah.
A lot of good fight scenes, really good music. I always wanted to try that food in the very beginning
No.
with like the jumping around. I just
No.
always, it looked so good. It was like big fat spaghetti or
It looked
something.
like seaweed with weird, spiky, like weird, gross bugs in it, and I was like, no, that's gross.
Yeah.
But he's got his one
But,
mechanic buddy that just like slurps it down. And you're just like, nice.
Yeah. I forgot his name. Yeah, but Logan, it's basically Titan is a spaceship that's the opposite of a Death Star. It looks just like the Death Star, but it creates planets instead of destroying them.
Wow.
And this main
Alternate
character's
universe of Star
dad
Wars.
like invented it, and he goes and tries to find it to save humanity after they destroyed the Earth. Yeah, it's a very interesting
Good one.
story though.
Literally never heard of it.
It's a good one.
We'll make rounds. So, I know Dan has more, and I know Brian has more. One that kind of came up in my brain as we were talking, mainly about, I don't know why, but when we were talking about Black Cauldron, it came to mind. First of all, for a basis, as a child, there are so many things that I watched like movies or TV shows that I watched that made me love nerdy things a lot more. Like so many. I'm definitely going to be missing a bunch. Um, but one cartoon that I always remember watching, and then when Disney Plus came out and they put it on there, I was able to watch it again. That really like it's super cool, and I think everybody will agree. Is Gargoyles,
Yes.
dude. Gargoyles is so cool, and I watched it when Disney Plus first came out, like the day Disney Plus came out, and I was like, man, this show is so cool. Like, the storyline for it is so creative and so just
It's one of those
I don't know,
shows that I
it's
remember
underrated.
watching, but I have no idea what the storyline is because I was so
Yeah.
young that I never followed it. Like,
That's exactly how it was, and then that's why like when I rewatched it, I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like this is so much cooler than I remember.
Dan, you need to watch it. I like no joke. It's
yeah.
a good show.
But the gargoyles, honestly, were just like some of the coolest designed creatures ever.
Well, it's like similar animation to like the old Batman cartoons too.
Yeah, and my favorite, I honestly I had to look up all their names because I didn't know their names. But my favorite gargoyle was Lexington, who was like that little one. He kind of looks like a little goblin elf kind of thing, or a orc, I guess. He has like a total. I guess they all have underbites, kind of, but he has a hardcore underbite. But he was like this like jittery, funny guy. I don't know. They're all super cool. Just with Disney remaking everything, as a live action. I think Gargoyles is a live action film or TV series that would do really well amongst the nerdy culture going on right now. Not only because a lot of, people our age are going to be like, "Oh, that's nostalgic. I used to watch that as a kid." But just think about that in live action.
That'd be
Like
pretty
those
cool.
that would be so cool to see.
I always
And
liked like
if-
the dog almost gargoyle. I can't remember his
Yeah,
name, but
yeah.
like they have like a pet that's also a gargoyle, and I always
Yeah.
liked him.
Dude, it's just so cool. Especially since like gargoyles were always thought of as like these dark evil creatures, like they were always kind of like a villainous type creature. But in this they're the good guys, really. Like the superheroes, honestly. But man, that was one of my favorite memories is watching that. I honestly don't even feel like I watched it that often. But man, it's a good one.
I just looked up like the names of the characters, right? Did
Mm.
you realize? So the show takes place in New York. Their names are major streets in New York. Like one of them, or like boroughs. Like one of them's Brooklyn. One of them's Hudson, like the Hudson
Oh,
River. One of them's
Broadway.
Broadway. One of them's Lexington.
Bronx.
One of them's
Bronx is the
The
dog.
dog is Bronx. Like that's so cool.
That's funny.
And then the main guy is
That is cool.
Goliath. Like okay, cool. That's nothing to do with.
Yeah. That's really cool though.
was really
Yeah,
random.
I loved that. One that I want to do as a really quick one, another nerdy thing, is the movie Dragonheart. Did you guys ever see that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
With
Oh, yeah.
what's his face? Dennis Quaid.
it's a good one.
It's super cheesy, very cheesy movie, but it was just fun with what's his name? I can't believe I'm blanking on it. Sean Connery as the dragon, Draco.
Yeah.
It's a fun
Long
movie.
time ago.
Yeah.
It's got
Golly.
man, it's got Jason Isaacs and
Yeah, it's got a pretty
Remus
solid-
Lupin's in it.
Yeah, and I always want to punch him in the face.
I gotta watch that again.
Remus Lupin's character in that movie just has a very punchable face. And attitude, a punchable attitude.
Oh come on, Rotten Tomatoes, 50% on Dragonheart. Freaking.
Okay, it is
People.
pretty cheesy, but
I don't.
Rotten
It's
Tomatoes-
so good though.
I know.
The
Rotten
audience-
Tomatoes.
Audience score 99. Like.
Yeah. Well, like, it's one of those movies that has so much emotion in the end that you're like, man, that sacrifice scene at the very end is just enough to make a grown man cry. It's pretty
Shed a
good.
tear that day.
Yep.
Oh, that was a good one. Wow, I like this episode. This is giving me like nerd tingles.
I
This is
know.
You're
good
like
stuff.
listing stuff that you got to go back and watch now.
Yeah, you're like, oh, is
Yeah,
that
I
on?
keep
Is
adding
that on
more and more
Netflix? Like-
movies.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this reminds me.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few. This is just this isn't. This one's just a quick. This is a TV show that's very well known, but I still feel is very underviewed, and it's Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I think it's very underviewed and very
The new or
underrated.
the old one?
I don't know.
Just in general, the whole series.
I wouldn't say underrated.
I feel like so many people just pass it by, I guess is what I'm saying. Like they just
Common-
like people that
common
have
people.
people that have seen it love it. I don't know a single person that's watched it and not thought it was great.
Yeah.
But
We'll say the commoners.
yes.
It's not popular amongst the commoners.
Instead of
because they're-
underrated, I'll say underappreciated. That's what I'll
There
say.
you go.
So everybody who's listening, if you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. Go do yourself a favor and watch it. In my opinion, some if not the best Star Wars content in terms of like understanding Star Wars as a whole world that's out there. That's just
I don't
my
think you
opinion.
need. I don't think you need to put if not in there. It is the best Star Wars content.
Thank you. I was putting a caveat in
It
case
is.
someone wanted to fight me on Discord.
Anybody
up.
can fight me on that. Honestly, it is the best Star Wars content, and I love the prequels. I love the original trilogy. I wouldn't say I'm in love with the sequels, but I like them. And
What
I
about
love
the last few minutes of Rogue One though? That was pretty good.
I think all of Rogue One
Yeah,
was pretty good.
all of Rogue One
Yeah.
was great. Like I'm just saying, it is so underappreciated. I didn't even watch Clone Wars as a kid,
Right.
but that show is top notch. Top notch Star Wars.
Top
If they
shelf.
made all Star Wars like that, Star Wars would not have any issues.
Especially for being, like a quote kids show unquote.
There's some deep stuff in there. Like it gets sad. Like
It's not even deep, but like dark. There's some dark,
Yeah.
dark death scenes.
Uh,
But I think we're gonna get into that. In like we're gonna do
Oh, yeah.
not a series, but we'll do a few episodes on.
gear
Clone
up
Wars
for
at some
that
time.
because Star Wars
Yeah.
Clone Wars deserves its own spotlight.
Yes.
This one is just something that again was funny for me as a teenager to kind of. This was a movie that I was able to use to show people that still thought I was dumb for being a nerd that being nerdy could be funny, and it's Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah.
love Galaxy
man.
Quest with Tim Allen, Alan Rickman,
Dude.
Sigourney Weaver. Like,
what a throwback.
it's so good. For those of you who haven't seen it, you should. But it's about this cast who play the characters of basically Star Trek, but in their world it's called Galaxy Quest. And they get abducted by real aliens, and then they, because the aliens have seen their show, think that they're like superheroes basically, and ask them to come save their alien race, and it's hilarious. I still love the part where they try to beam up somebody and they hit like the random animal that's attacking them and it turns it inside
yeah.
out, like the little blue people that are chanting Gridnack, and that means rock over and over again. Like, but I was able to use that to show my friends who didn't think nerdy stuff was cool, be like, see, it's funny. Like, it can be funny to be like aliens and whatnot. So I really like
Wow.
that movie a lot. It's a throwback for sure.
What a classic.
And then the last one that I have on my list is definitely a weird one, and it's Labyrinth, not Pan's Labyrinth, but Labyrinth
I love that.
with David Bowie.
Uh-huh.
I've
and it's
honestly never seen it.
Weird.
Yeah,
I
it's-
just heard it's really weird.
It is so weird. It's up
But
there
it's the
with
great
Dark
kind.
Crystal, like in terms of weirdness, and they use the puppets, like so it's Jim Henson's involved with it, and they use puppets and Muppets throughout the whole thing. And my favorite puppet in the whole thing is Ludo. He's like this big bulldog, hairy thing, and he just knows one word, and it's Ludo. And they find him when they fall into the bog of eternal stench, and it's just like there's so much random
such a
stuff.
good-
But the premise of the movie is the Goblin King, who is a human, played by David Bowie, apparently, steals the baby brother of this chick to raise him as the next Goblin King or something like that. And she goes on an adventure to try to save her brother. And it is by far the weirdest thing. There's this group of like lemur-looking guys that switch body parts and sing a song. Like, it is bizarre. and I love every
I have-
minute of it.
That is basically the only explanation I've heard of that movie. But I do want to say, you said that David Bowie is a human. I think it's arguable in real life to say that David Bowie's not human. That guy looks like an alien. I think he is. If we're gonna go into a theory of UFOs and aliens someday, Men in Black style, I think David Bowie is an actual alien in human disguise. He's so creepy.
Rip.
He's a weird dude. Yeah, rip. For real. I mean, he made his name known for sure.
Dan,
Yeah.
it's back to you, my friend.
Okay. For some reason, that talking about Labyrinth brought up this movie from so long ago I used to watch as a little kid. It's called The Page Master.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, that
dude.
just brought up to my mind. I had to like Google. I looked up like 90s cartoon New York Library, what it is.
Is that what? Who made it? Was that Disney?
I have no idea, but I just remember watching that and
Wow.
like being scared.
21%
and
on
nervous
Rotten
every single time.
Tomatoes. Oof.
No. It was such a good
Insane.
one.
It was made by
I didn't even
Hanna-Barbera.
Oh wow.
Huh.
Kudos to them. I
And
wish
then
it was on
yeah.
Disney Plus though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then it's like Turner Feature Animation, which I've never heard of, but
Yeah.
it's got Christopher
Yeah,
Lloyd in
so-
it as one of the books. Patrick Stewart, Whoopi Goldberg. Come on, like,
Oh,
Wow.
that was so good.
whoa.
So yeah,
Leonard Nimoy is Dr. Jackal in that. That's crazy.
What the heck?
Well, I mean,
I'm adding
even
that to my watch list.
what's the kid's name?
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin. I mean, at that time of that
He was
movie,
huge.
you know, he was big. He's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the paint like falls from the ceiling, and then that's how they like get
Yeah.
into the book world or something. It's
Yeah.
like super
Oh,
weird.
it's so creepy. And like he was trying to like fix a tree house or something, and he had to go get screws.
Yeah, he was trying to finish
I-
a treehouse because his dad was too busy to help him or something. I don't. It was really.
Yeah.
It's really sad. Like.
No need to bring that stuff up. Come on. At least he
So
had
yeah,
a treehouse.
that's something that popped into my head. And then I think two more. The original X-Men.
Yep.
I always loved that.
Yep.
Um,
Super cheesy.
I
If
think-
you watch those.
my favorite line from that is when Storm
Is
is
with Toad.
about to shock Toad, and she's like, "You know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?"
Same thing.
He's like, "Oh, the same thing that happens to
everything
everything else."
else.
And that's like her only one-liner in the movie. Like it makes sense if that was her
so
thing,
bad.
but it's not. It just comes out of nowhere.
Wait, isn't Toad in that one? I think he's played by the same guy who
It's
plays
Darth
Darth
Maul.
Maul.
Yeah, it's Darth
Yeah.
Maul.
It's what's his name? Ray Parks.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
funny.
gosh, and it's Halle Berry when she was like
Yeah.
top, like that. Everything was about Halle Berry back then too.
And she was relevant.
Good grief. Every
Yeah,
same
I
thing that
always
happens
love those.
to everything
I mean, I
else.
still love it. I always thought the kiss at the end on the Statue of Liberty was really weird. Not
Mm.
just because I was little, but because it was weird.
I think it's weird that Toad like eats a bird at one point.
Yeah,
Like,
that part was always weird to me.
like why'd you do that? The guy who gets like mutated into like a puddle of water.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So
Slips through
gross.
the bars.
Yeah. That always made me when he's like just like turning into water on the table when they're back at the school. That part, I don't like that part at all. What's your last one, Dan?
I'm gonna say Chronicles of Narnia.
Mm.
Hey,
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I loved it. I tried reading the books, and I started from like the beginning of the Chronicles of Narnia, which is like the Wizard's Apprentice or something. I don't
Yeah.
even remember what it's called, but I just couldn't get into it. But I loved the movies.
I do highly
especially the battle
recommend
scenes.
either reading or audiobooking those books
Is the
in
audiobook
order.
any good?
Yeah, I enjoyed them a lot. I read all of them in order, and they're really interesting actually. And it just explains a lot more, and it makes you wish that they would make like the other books into movies as well and make them in order.
I definitely think the other one, the ones after the first one, were definitely flatter for me than the first one.
I love
Yeah.
the second one, but the third one could have been better for sure.
Sure.
That was Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the reason the third movie wasn't great is because Disney didn't make it. So Disney made the first two and they were solid. And then I don't remember why, but Disney dropped the project or something like that and somebody picked it up and did a third one. I mean, it has its funny parts, but other than that, it's
Yeah.
not the best. That's funny though. My wife joined the Discord and put that in topic suggestions that we do a
Oh, really?
Narnia episode or something.
There's actually a
I'd
really
be so
cool
down.
talking about Chronicles of Narnia on Disney Plus. There's this show called Prop Culture, and this guy goes around and finds props from old Disney movies. Well, not old, but some Disney movies. And one of them, he does the Chronicles of Narnia, and he finds like the original shield and sword, and he gets like the original cast together and shows them like her little dagger with her vial of like potion and like her bow and like all
That's
these
cool.
other things from the movie. It's a really cool moment.
Yeah, that's cool. So I have 3, and of the 3, I think we need to do episodes on 2 of them, like 2 separate episodes on 2 of them, like in-depth ones, by the way. I mean, honestly, we could do in-depth episodes on every single one that we've mentioned today. We could got
I
the
like
time.
that idea.
Yeah. But the first one I want to mention, I possibly saw it as a kid, but I don't remember. And then for some reason, I've kind of gotten into the old 90s and 80s nerdy, like cheesy films and stuff like that. Like I've been trying to find a way to watch. There's an old, I think it's 80s. It could be 90s, but there's an old like Dungeons and Dragons show or movie or something like that I want to watch. But so the one I'm talking about though is Willow.
Yep.
Willow's a
Plus.
classic. Yes, I have watched that multiple times since it's been on Disney Plus and before Disney Plus even came out.
I stole the baby while you were taking a pee-pee.
Those guys are super funny.
The brownies.
Yeah, that whole movie, it's got a big casting. Honestly, it does. It's really just super cheesy. But I did find actually some fun facts about that movie that I did not know that I found pretty interesting actually. So I kind of wanted to take a moment because it's an underrated film. I think it's a classic and it deserves some appreciation.
It is briefly
the
mentioned
first one-
in the movie Fanboys. Just
True. Yeah. Kaya. Yeah. Who cares about Willow? That's what it says. Anyway, the first fun fact is that movie was like written for Warwick Davis. George Lucas had actually been working on it for about a decade by the time they started filming and stuff. But while they were filming, if you did not know this, they made a series of Ewok TV specials. I can't remember what they're called. I have them saved on Amazon, but they're really expensive, so I didn't want to buy them. But while they were working on that, George Lucas was like talking to Warwick Davis's mom just about this project that he had been working on, and ever since he started working with Warwick, he'd picked it back up, and because Warwick kind of gave him a direction that he wanted to go into.
it's called the Caravan of Courage.
That's it, yeah, Caravan of Courage. Classic. Weird. That's another, I've never seen it. I want to see it, but it's kind of hard to find. It's kind of like the Star Wars Holiday Special, which is another thing we must talk about one day. Which I try to watch every Christmas, but Kendra doesn't like to.
It's so weird.
not?
Most people don't like to.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It's one of the weirdest things, and it's long. It is hard to get through, but you start a tradition, you have to keep it going.
Gotta keep
Gotta
going.
do it.
The other fun, I got like 3 more fun facts on this that I want to hit. One of them is that it was actually originally going to be called Munchkins, which I think is kind of funny. But that changed. I don't know why. It doesn't even explain why here. It just says that.
Seems
what
pretty
it was.
self-explanatory why they changed it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This one I thought was really cool. It was the largest casting call for little people in movie history. So I thought that
awesome.
was cool because when I was watching it, I remember like because it shows like the the little village full of little people, and I was like, man, they got a lot of little people for this, and they got some big names too. What's his name? The little guy who played R2D2 in the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting all the names. I know these names and I'm just forgetting. But he's in it. I honestly don't know any of their names, but I've seen a lot of them in films, and so it was pretty cool to see that. And then the last fun fact for it that I thought was cool, just because you kind of see a correlation, sort of, is so the death dogs in it. They were played by real dogs in costumes. Now, the reason I wanted to bring that up is because Ron Howard was the guy who directed this movie, right? And they did the dogs in real costumes. And I thought it was cool that in the movie Solo, which was, I don't know why, but not popular. The movie Solo was not popular among Star Wars fans. I loved the movie Solo. Loved it. And in that,
I hate the death
in
dogs.
in the movie Solo, there are these dogs that are used at the very beginning that the bad Pike guy who's running after Han and Kira, they're chasing them with like these like kind of like, you know, hounds basically, and they're real dogs in costumes. And Ron Howard directed Solo, and I thought that was just kind of cool to see, like, hey, you're using the dogs in real costumes again. That was pretty cool. So I thought that was fun. But the last movie I wanted to bring up, really quick, Borrowers was one, but we'll get into that some other time. But the Dark Crystal. You brought up the Dark Crystal. The classic Dark Crystal is super weird.
Yep.
It's like Willow, super weird, but super fun. And really, that's one of those, like, that's a nerdy thing to get into. But I will say, if you have not seen The Dark Crystal on Netflix, the new TV series, go and watch it, because it's super good. Like, really amazingly good. So
Would you say that you
highly
have to have
suggest it.
seen the movie before you watch the series?
No, because it's technically the TV series is a prequel to the movie. Which is actually really cool, because when I watched the movie for the first time, I didn't watch it as a kid. I watched it as an adult, and I was like, I mean, it's good. It's fun to watch. It's really weird. But I just felt like I didn't understand much about the movie. Like, they kept mentioning stuff, and I was like, okay. But now with the TV series,
You understand more?
yeah, and it looks so good. The effects are amazing. They still use real puppets, but they've done an amazing job on it. There's a little guy named Hup, and he's super cool, and he carries a spoon around, and he just goes, I'm Hup, Hup. And he's super funny. Highly suggest it. Go and watch it. It's super fun. Yeah.
Well, I very much
Yeah,
enjoyed,
that's it for me.
I very much enjoyed this episode. I'm just gonna put that out
Yes.
there. I had a good time.
I have a
nothing
list
else.
I have a list.
I have nothing
Yeah.
else on me.
Okay.
So I'm.
Dan, do you have anything else?
I mean, I could talk about a bunch more movies that inspired me to be a nerd, but I think I talked about the big ones.
There you go.
You can hit us with one more. Let's do one more. Maybe you've thrown us down memory lane more than I think any of me or Brian, so I want to get another one on my list.
I think
Choose wisely.
this one is more of a TV show, and I feel like there's like, you know, the two big space ones. There's Star Wars and Star Trek. Those are the big fandoms. But like, something that I never really hear about is Stargate. Like, I'm a huge fan of like Stargate SG-1 and Atlantis. Like, I just like the idea of it. And I know back in middle school when I was playing World of Warcraft all the time, there's a lot of grinding in that game. And so I'd have Stargate on in the
Nerd
background.
alert!
Yeah, I'd be playing World of Warcraft and watching Stargate, right? But I just loved it because the episodes are like 40 minutes long. There's like 10 seasons. There's 3 different like versions of it. And it's just always really cool. I haven't really ever met anyone else who has been a big fan of it. Even my dad, who introduced me, he's not the biggest fan of the TV show, but I've always loved it.
Yeah.
I have to admit I've never.
I don't know
seen
what
it
it is. I've never seen it, but I have heard of it. But I was gonna say, I don't know what it is about the nerd world, especially for us. But you know, sci-fi fantasy, medieval fantasy, fantasy in general. Like, it is just, I think the weirder it is, the
better
more
it
fun
is.
it is. And it kind of, yeah, and it kind of like opens up this weird, like, nerdy life. I don't know. I like once I started watching the weird old 80s and 90s, early 2000s nerdy things, man, that's when I was really just like, oh man, this stuff's good. It's weird, but it's good, and I
I feel
like
like I
it a
need to
lot.
watch Willow
Yeah.
tonight now.
Dude, Willow's good. I'll probably try and watch it tonight.
I've
as
got a
well.
huge list of stuff I need to watch.
Right.
I know you guys gave me a solid list. Yes.
You need to go watch Titan AE
Yeah.
though. You need to watch Titan AE.
Yeah,
Top of the
100%
What
watch
is
that.
What is it? I missed the title at the beginning. So what is it?
Titan and then AE, like the letters A and E.
All right. Well, that was fun. I really enjoyed that. I hope we brought a lot of people down memory lane there and brought in a bunch of memories or new movies and TV shows for them to watch to get a little nerdier in their life. I know. I honestly, it's we didn't even, we just touched the surface of things. There's so many movies and books and TV series out there that shaped the nerdiness we have in our lives, and we'll get to them. Honestly, we want to hear yours too. That will be great for topic suggestions and also just for us to get into because we love new nerdy things. So please join the Discord. It is the Council of Nerds Discord. In there, there's a bunch of tabs on the left just to talk about anything. We have topic suggestions. We have improvement suggestions. Just a bunch of stuff to help us out and also just really to help you guys out to like the podcast a little more. Please share the podcast, like it, and subscribe on YouTube. Also, subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts as well, or one or the other. It doesn't matter. But just we like to have all the support we can get. We have a lot of fun with this. Hope you have fun listening to it. But that's it for me. Do you guys have anything else?
You beautiful people are amazing. Spread the word. We like to be around and to do this, so the more people we can have hear us, the more fun it'll be for us, but we're going to be here regardless. So if you
Yes.
enjoy it and know other people that you think will enjoy it, just spread the word, and yeah.
Yeah, even if you just simply share the page on Instagram. We do have an Instagram, so go and hit that up and share it with your friends, really. Or not. Honestly, I mean, it'd be awesome, but just do whatever you want. We just
Don't
have
do it.
fun with it. Yeah. Don't do it. We'll come after you.
Do what you want as long as you do what we say first.
or
Right.
the Shia LaBeouf. Just
Do it.
do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Your
All right, well,
true.
all right. Well, that is everything from us. Thanks again, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. How do I stop recording?
The Council of Nerds.